Well, I'm sorry I'm late. I was supposed to be here a little earlier, but I spent the last 2 hours at a 7-Eleven going, Marlboro! Marlboro! Cigarettes!
Alright guys, welcome back. Joe again here from Aquatics, and you didn't see the last video of us lifting up the 540-gallon aquarium. Be sure to go back and check that one out because that was a good one. But here we are in this video. It is time to start the filtration system for not only the 540-gallon tank, which is behind me, which is 12 foot long, but also the 900-gallon tank, which is upstairs. And the goal is to put both of these guys under the same filtration system right there under the stand. So with that being said, let's get into it. First things first, you guys probably agreed with me on that last one. I was asking, should we keep the universal rock in the tank? Which it does look kind of good if you're doing fresh water. I mean, that would be probably kind of badass. But for salt water, probably not going to cut it. So I already started taking pieces out. They're roughly 22.5 inches. I think I measured this section right here at around 15. So at first I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this? But I think those will fit in the frag tanks right here someday in the near future where the piranhas are at. But that's going to be another job. So I need to take out the rest of the universal rock, which is over here on the right. There's a little bit of a backstory we're going to have to get into just a little bit, because I think there's a reason why this portion is here on the right hand side. Real quick, as you notice, the end of the tank is blackened out and they painted it. And I think I know why. So I talked to the guy. I mean, I kind of knew about this, but I didn't really get too in-depth into it. Let me get up inside here. Something must have happened at one time. Let me turn on the light. Maybe I can sneak behind here and get my finger back there. This end of the tank is incredibly heavy because right there, look, there's a 1-inch piece of acrylic that was fused on to the original end of the tank, which I think was roughly, it's kind of deceiving because that looks like 1/2 inch right there, but I think it's actually 3/4 because the way they did this chamfer up here, because it almost looks like they flipped the tank on all of its sides when they glued it, because these are all 45-degree angle. I'm trying to get inside here, right there. So the only way you do that is literally take the tank, tip it on its corner, and then fill this void where the two panels come together. Once that sets up, they flip it 90 degrees, do this one, wait probably 24 hours, do this one, and then do this one. So the tank is definitely stout. Once again, 12 foot long, 3 feet front to back, and 24 inches tall. So with something must have happened here at one time. I'm not quite sure, and that's why the universal rock came all the way around the bend. So I could probably pull it all off. I think where I'm standing right now is I'm starting to think that I want to pull it completely off. I want to get a real good close look at just how bad this is. But the one thing that's kind of driving me crazy is that when you walk in the room, you really can't see the end of the tank, you know, looking straight down because it got blackened out. The other end is clear. Part of me is kind of thinking maybe take off this black paint. And to do that, that's going to require some work because that's just not going to peel off. This might come down to actually getting the sander out and literally sand this end and, you know, obviously go through multiple steps of sandpaper and then walking all the way up to a final polish so we can get, you know, looking at this thing from the very end. But the other problem is, depending on who glued this on there, I mean, it could be a horrible glue where it doesn't matter how clean this is, you would see all the marks of the glue, whatever they did. So there's only one way to figure this out. Put off that universal rock, take a close look at this, maybe with a flashlight, and just see how clear they fuse those two panels together. Maybe it looks good. I'm not for sure, but let's pull this off. Let's see what's going on. Oh boy, hold on to your horses. So there it is. There's a piece I just pulled out. And man, now I see why it got installed. Look at this. Well, we call this a hack job where I work. Oh my God. It's actually two separate panels
the truth, man. He wakes up in the morning, he goes to the mirror, he looks in it, and goes, "Ah! What did I do to my life?"
That were welded to the end of the tank, and I don't even know why yet. I'm still trying to see. There's something that's jumping out in front of me of why, because I don't see any cracks. But I think that just kind of answered my question. I don't think I'll be peeling that off, because that is, and actually it looks like a good weld, because it looks kind of clear and smooth on that back wall. So don't be fooled by the silicone. The silicone was just there to hold on the universal rock, so that could be cleaned off. But this is probably no good. So what's the cure here? Let me think about this for a second. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and leave that in there. I can pull off that silicone, kind of clean that area up. But there's, I guess, you know, the universal rock's not going to go back in there, because I just don't think that's going to match with the look that we're going to try to achieve here. And the other thing too is, look at the size of this overflow box here, and there's a ton of holes on the top of the tank. So I don't know if at one time this was a frag tank, a grow out tank. I don't know what was going on here, but somebody drilled, what do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 16 holes on the top of the tank. That's a lot of holes. Maybe at one time, maybe this overflow box was not here, and they had piping that was coming up and over top of the back for circulation. Maybe a closed loop system was put on it at one time. I'm not quite for sure. I don't even know who built this thing, because one of the things we noticed last week was even on the top here, if you look closer, you can kind of see some where they glued it together. Catch the right angle here. You can see the line right there. So just the top in itself, I think we counted, because they're everywhere. I think it was, is that a full panel? Yeah, so 4 big ones here, about 5 foot roughly, so 4 of those. And then these, you can see the seam there and there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 9 pieces of acrylic that came together just to make up the top 12 by 3 footprint. That's crazy in itself. I mean, the tank is definitely strong. It's not going nowhere. And even though that looks pretty pathetic down there, I mean, I saw this tank full of water. So I know it holds water. So just a matter of somehow putting some lipstick on this pig. So one of the things I think I came up with is doing what I did to the 1,000-gallon tank. I think I'm going to cover up this overflow box here. And now that we just saw this, there's only one other way to make this kind of go away. And let me show you.
Like I said, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to just do whatever I can for people.
All right, so we're behind the scenes right now of the 1,000-gallon aquarium. And as you can see, this thing has what they call a coast-to-coast overflow box, which stretches the whole back of the tank, 8 foot, and then falls into this other box. And here you can see where we came up with, you know, as far as our kind of a crazy contraption system here. This is kind of like the same like a bean animal system. You can see I've got the full siphon there. I've got the backup right there. And some guys would say, well, hold on, where's the third one at? And the third one is actually right there. So my emergency overflow comes in on an angle, not an angle, but horizontal, and it's caught right there. With all the piping here, I did not want to see this from the front of the tank, so I came up with literally taking live rock and I glued it piece by piece by piece on the inside of the tank to cover up this whole corner. Let me take it around the front and I'll show you right now. All right, guys, check this out. This is Tesla, the Tessalata eel, or also known as a honeycomb moray eel. He's getting a little upset. I'm moving a couple rocks out of the way because today is the big day. He's coming out of this 120-gallon aquarium where he's been living at for about a good year and a half. And he's moving up to the penthouse. He's on his way to the 1,000-gallon aquarium. All right, let's move some rocks. It's time to go on a little bit of a road trip. One of the fun things about eels is just put them in the tube. Those fish nets are a little tricky to be working with, but if you get them in here, you're good to go. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes to an hour, and we're doing a nice acclimation for Tesla here, and it's almost time to go ahead and put him in the big boy tank. All right, guys, and just like that, Tesla's got himself a new home. But I can tell you what, the Surgeon Tang is not happy. He's swimming around his house, and he's kind of like, wait a second, who's in my house? So starting to see a little bit of tension. He's checking things out. So obviously we're going to definitely have a couple hours of who's who. And we'll see who wins here in a little bit. You can see the snowflake moray eel sneaking out right there. Just behind the tessellata. So, all right, guys. Let's see how this pans out over the next couple days. Hopefully there's some harmony in the aquarium and there are no problems. So on the front face of the 1000, you can see over here what I'm talking about, like I showed you just a few seconds ago in the back. See how it looks from this angle? Oh, there's our puffer. What are you doing, buddy? There's a surgeon, real quick. So those rocks right there, so I went ahead and glued, there's probably, oh man, probably 150 rocks that span the height here at 4 foot to go right to the top where the return lines are coming back in, but I think that turned out pretty daggone good. Cover up those pipes, give it a real good natural setting, and obviously as time going by, we're starting to get some algae that's growing on top of those rocks, a little bit of purple coralline algae starting to kick in, but I did notice lately we're starting to get some green algae, so I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. One of the lights is doing something to me, but that really turned out pretty good, I think. Real natural. Especially with this large rock formation that we built here in the front, kind of a centerpiece here in the 1,000-gallon aquarium. So if you guys are new to the channel and you've never seen this tank, go back and check out our other videos in the 1,000-gallon build-out. But I think that's probably what we're going to do with the 540, the 12-footer, cover up that one end with a whole bunch of rocks and make it look real natural. Cover up that disaster. Alright guys, I went to the shop just now and I picked up this sump. This is one of the ones that we got from the Florida collection. This thing is, how long is this one? This one is 7 foot long, 16 inches tall, and about 3 foot wide. So we're going to use this underneath the 12-footer. So let's go ahead and get this in on the carts. It's kind of heavy, 3/4 inch acrylic. It definitely needs a bath, but I think this is going to work out pretty good. A 12-foot long aquarium. Let's get on it. Alright guys, quick update. So work continues. I went ahead and brought in that sump. Me and Jack just did it probably about an hour ago. This thing obviously needs a major bath. It is 3 foot wide, 7 foot long, 16 inches tall. Just so happens it kind of lines up with this guy down here, which is also 3 foot wide. This one's 4 foot long and 16 inches too in height. Big thing is this guy right here, this 8-sock filter that we had made up a couple years back. The goal was to put that thing in down here, but I'm not for sure. Things are still not quite lining up, still moving stuff around. This chamber here, I actually wanted to be flipped, but then I noticed these slide out filters here. Check this out. There's like a mechanical filter right here. Who the heck made this thing? But this thing is pretty daggone slick. And they just kind of slide in here on a 45-degree angle. So I'm thinking at one time, maybe the water for this particular sump probably came in over here on the right-hand side, these 2 3-inch pipes, filled up this whole bay and then kind of traveled right through all 6 of them and then took off in that direction. So I kind of wanted this down there, but that's when I noticed when I started measuring things that these 6 would be right behind that. And when you go to slide these out, I would have hit those 2x10s right there. So that's no good. So we went ahead and flipped it. Now that this is down here, I'm having a slight problem with this particular 2x6. Might work if I can make it so that everything is that way just a tad, so we have access to this. But all that being said, the other problem is this guy. I kind of wanted it to line up right here in this opening, having all those 2-inch pipes come down and working their way over to here. Actually, some of those are 2-inch, some of those are 1.5 inches. But in the end, they're going to be dumping into all of those different bulkheads, traveling through the socks, and then coming out this slot. There's actually a slot there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. So the objective, the goal at one time, was to have the water literally pour out around the perimeter, mainly the front and the sides, and dump into this guy down here. And then once the water arrived here, it was going to come out the sides with pipe and then dump into the main body of water. Things are still not lining up. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. So first things first, this thing needs a bath. So let's give this thing a quick bath. It looks pretty bad.
Huh? This is sand. Yeah. It's sand. You know it's going to be 100 years from now, huh? It's going to be sand!
All right, so one thing I want to point out real quick. One of the earlier goals was to probably wrap this thing in plywood. 4 sides probably come up around 20 inches, do the bottom, and then probably fiberglass the whole thing, do the whole pond armor, kind of lock it in as one big reservoir, and then build the entire filtration system out of it. But I'm starting to question that. Obviously that's very time consuming, and that's when I went ahead over to the shop, found this particular sump, and I thought, okay, look, this would be so much easier. Just put in this sump, which is 7x3, and then just kind of work off of that. Same with that guy down there. Obviously, things would get moving along a lot faster by just go ahead and sliding both of those in. But to do that, you can tell that's not going to fit inside there. So what I've got to do is I've got to remove these 3 boards here and then slide in the long filter.
Do me a favor, if you guys see me working on the yard and stuff around the house next week, you do me a favor? Do you love me? You do me a favor? Kill me. Strangle me, shoot me, run me over, whatever it takes, I'm in hell!
The short one definitely fits through the opening down there, but the big one has got to go through the end. So I think we'll be safe. I can leave this 2x6 here, but I can remove this one, the 2x4, and the other 2x6. There's enough material in the back, as you can see right there, there should be no problem. The tank will cantilever over just a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that because there's so much surface area on this tabletop. It's only going to be for probably 15-20 minutes, and then we'll put the board right back. So not too worried about that. First things first, though, we need to put the 3/4 plywood down on the bottom. And then the other thing I'm noticing is this 2x6 can't be there. I'm losing 1.5 inches of space on the inside. So we need to cut this up and put the 2x6s between the vertical boards, give ourselves more room underneath the stand to get these guys in. All right, so it's been probably about an hour or two. As you can see, we've cleaned this thing up, and I'll tell you what, woo, buddy, that thing is looking good. We also went ahead and picked up that 8 sock filtration system. You can see we laid it down inside here, just kind of messing around a little bit, seeing if maybe this concept would work, but I'm not totally sold yet. I'm trying to actually figure out the flow of water and how all of this would come together in the end. Also over here, we went ahead and threw the protein skimmer in here. This is that reef octopus. That thing's a monster. It's 39 inches tall. We've got 2 of these. At one time, I was thinking we were going to be putting a pair in here. I think right now that might be overkill. So other than that, things are still lining up in a way. I think this is probably going to take a couple more days to really figure out how we're going to do this. I think tomorrow what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and remove that board, as I said just a few seconds ago. Put in some smaller ones between all those upright 2x6s. Then go ahead and put the plywood in, get everything painted up, looking a little bit better. Then maybe we'll do a dry run. We'll slice stuff inside there, see what it kind of looks like, but I'm not totally sure yet. Other than that, I think that's kind of where we're at. It's a slow tedious process, and we just kind of keep moving forward, and eventually it's all going to work out. But all right, guys, appreciate you watching. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and watch how this 12-footer comes to life here in the next couple weeks. Pretty good project. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. We're out of here.